All right, welcome. And welcome to AI Industry Discussion. In this vlog, we discuss AI and the implications of AI and how they impact different industries. Hosting today is me, Björn. I'm the delivery lead of Peltarion Expert Services. And I'm also premiering my colleague, Anna. Anna, tell us, who are you?
Hi, thank you so much for bringing me into this awesome initiative, Björn. I'm really happy to get to join. So my name is Anna Gross and I work with content and integrations here at Peltarion.
Cool. So, most importantly, today, our guest star, Rickard Rydström, CEO of WeSelect. Warm welcome, Rickard. It's super exciting to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here today.
So today we'll dive into a bit of what you do at WeSelect and how you sort of utilize data as a major driver of your business, and of course reviews on AI. But Rickard, first, tell us a little bit about yourself and WeSelect.
Yeah, okay. My name is Rickard Rydström. I'm the CEO and co-founder of WeSelect. I've been running growth companies within the HR sector for more than 12 years now. Almost 10 years at WeSelect, and for the last 4 years we have transformed from a recruitment consultant company to a technology-driven HR company. Very brief, we're combining automated digital employer branding and award-winning data-driven ads in social media connected with a software solution called Talent Software. We then applied the world's leading AI and machine learning into our software in order to find the best matching candidates for our clients.
All right. I mean, that sounds super exciting. And I mean, what do you do at WeSelect? That sort of how is this different to how others do this?
Yes, in short, we offer our clients the answer to their most important question for long-term growth, innovation, and in the end, frankly, their survival. How to attract, to engage, convert, and hire top talent in a modern and very fast-moving market. WeSelect was not founded as a technology or a platform or a SaaS company. We did not start with AI or machine learning. We did the heavy lifting for so many years, recruitment process after recruitment process in every industry out there on all levels, mounting up to plus 5,000 successful recruitments in 10 years. And in the recruitment industry, it's all about the results. You can never hide behind the impressions or clicks or views. You need to fill the position. So we were measuring everything, collecting data points everywhere, looked at the candidate interaction, and then we built intelligence to get this answer right. We used our very unique know-how in recruitment, so we later on could apply and convert real data to AI. Now we do have the recipe, and then decided a couple of years ago to build a machine to automate this whole process, because automation is the key to success, and we built the feedback loop that makes the software smarter and smarter with every interaction. The difference, I think, is that no other company in the world was stupid enough to go through this pain and data analysis, and therefore we earn our advantage in the market right now.
I mean, yeah, that's super interesting, and I'm so intrigued to dive into that origin story later as well. But this approach that you have, how do you think it can approach the way that people think about themselves, their jobs, their future? I know that you think about that a fair bit in your vision and in like the purpose behind what you do.
Yeah, that is really the question. It's like the $1 million question right there. So let's see if I can put at least some words that hopefully sound clever on what's constantly spinning in my mind. And I know every mind at WeSelect right now. I say this with the emphasis because this is the most essential question, no matter what questions are remaining. I would say in any podcast, blog, or even discussion in the future, in any context, because when you get this answer right, this will have more positive impact on people's work life, on companies, on public sectors, on the whole society, than I think any other solution out there today. And this is not connected just to my industry. This affects everyone. It's the total quality of life for all working people. Not being a tech guy from the start, and honestly just doing my best to catch up, and more than often failing actually, with all the technology out there, innovation, supercomputers, deep tech, etc. I think it's crucial to address how AI, machine learning, and all the other buzzwords will affect people like me, the non-experts. You cannot get the approval, the understanding, interest, or the buy-in from the average person like me if you talk on a level that I don't understand. It's like math in elementary school. If you get it, it's a lot of fun and it's very rewarding. But if you don't, it's like, it's really not fun, and you don't care about it. Our mission is to make people love Mondays. Suppose I can give you an example, one small one and a big one. Before I start, I want to say that there are amazing companies out there where you can stay your whole life, and that's truly great. But that's not always the case, unfortunately. So first, let's talk about like a family member, a relative, or a friend that doesn't like their job. I think we all have been that person or know that person. If you take it to the next level, you find people in their 50s or 60s that have worked for the same employer for the last, say, 30, 40 years. They spent maybe 40 years in the wrong place for the wrong reasons. And it doesn't have to be anything wrong with the employer. Maybe it's a good match for a couple of years, but maybe not for the last 20 or 30 years. A survey by Gallup 2018 states that 66% is not engaged in their job. That's a lot of people. And to find a number in a broader market, say outside Sweden, say the UK, say that 1 million people in the UK, 66 million in the UK, 1 million people stay 3 years longer than they should in a job where they're not growing. That's 3 million years of work that would be better off somewhere else. And I think it's like 10 times that number. Then you have 30 million years of work in the wrong place only in the UK. So why don't people change jobs? Because it's scary as hell. It's hard. It takes a lot of energy, even skills. 9 out of 10 people with a college degree think it's really hard to write a personal letter or a CV. And what if you don't even like to write in the first place? I can give you endless reasons why people don't change jobs or even begin to search or send in an application. It could be insecurity in themselves, a sense of responsibility to provide security for their families, uncomfortable starting a new relationship with new colleagues, group pressure around who you are, your income, location. And even if all of this is fine, you maybe hate the interview or you just don't want to change. How many bought something from the internet 15 years ago? Not that many. And with the internet, there was no emotion or human failure involved. It did not feel secure, and no one did it. So why should I do it? The infrastructure around payment wasn't there, but more relevant, you were not that aware that you could buy stuff from the internet, so you went to the store. Today it's the total opposite. It's like half what the internet is about. It's smart marketing, it's creating awareness, consideration, and push for a decision to buy an item, a service, or whatever. And when companies knows this about you, that you like their shoes, their hotels, their video games, they save this information for the future and are trying to convince you later to buy something more. And guess what? You will. So it's called marketing, of course, and specifically the marketing funnel. If you want to sell something on the internet, this is how you do it. So if you need to create and build up brand awareness around, for instance, a 50-pound shoe, how can it not be common sense that you need the same strategy times 10 when you want a person to take this, as I said before, sometimes really hard decision to change their job and be open to your company? And I would say that Sweden is probably #1 in the world attracting top talent this way. And still, today, 9 out of 10 companies does not work like this at all. So WeSelect took the marketing funnel and the buyer's journey and built it for the candidate instead. We actually got an award for that. But even online today, on social media, a majority of ads are just job ads and vacant positions. And what people need to understand is that this step, it's too late. In a world of independence on one hand and insecurity on the other, you need to give people a real reason to change their status quo. And the reason there is an open position, that's not enough. So awareness, consideration, and decision are going to be the industry standard for every company out there, or even for everyone who needs to fill a position. So with the better matched candidates through data, easy application, smart attraction, and interacting with people, just like the e-commerce business, you will in the end create real value for people and societies.
So when you put it like that, it sounds so logical that like this is, but it's very interesting that we still see so little of this type of advertisement when it comes to jobs and workplaces.
Yes, and it's coming. And if you take the WeSelect strategy, we did not build. I think this is important. We did not build a supercomputer or the most complex algorithm. Instead, we apply AI and machine learning to our process. And why should we even be trying to build something smarter than Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Google? We let their hundreds of thousands engineers and amazing AI work for us instead. And that makes us, I think, the most successful company in this area, because we built the best rules, target groups, and from that intelligence around candidate interaction. And then we inject this into the social media platforms and their gigantic AI engines. With this strategy, I'm very excited right now. But with this strategy, you're going to be relevant to the audience, and they will interact with you. And now instead, you collaborate with the best AI in the world, and with that tool, you're going to open people's minds, both consciously and unconsciously, creating a willingness to take that step you want them to take. They will find you, even like you, and finally be more open to your brand, your company, your offer. And we have proof of concept of this globally on all levels. To finish this question, everyone with a credit card today can do this online. But what you need, in my opinion, it's to be successful. That's and relevant without just spending a lot of money. That is to start building target groups based on real data. That's level 1. Level 2, if you're really ambitious in this area, you need a smart system that creates feedback loops. Say that the candidate number 21 is the one you hire and is the game changer for your company. You want a system to know about this and start automatically to start searching for that other 21 profiles. Number, say, 18, with the same CV and background, but did not pass your process for some reason, is not right for you. But here I also want to talk about a little bit about the threats in AI and so. You really need to be careful with technology. AI and machine learning find the best way mathematically, the shortest path from A to B, the most converting way, the most relevant, the most likely to press buy or to apply to your vacant position. And that's why you should never build a whole strategy around clicks and views. You should always build it along after long-term success and real results. And because of this, you also have a great responsibility. What comes in goes out. The Facebook AI doesn't care about equality, diversity, inclusion. So you have to. You need to build a good core values in your company, a professional and unbiased process, openness, and a modern view of hiring. So it's important that the foundation on which all technology should stand comes from within. But that's maybe a discussion for another day.
No, I mean, I totally agree. And one of our sort of core values at Peltarion is sort of spreading the knowledge around AI, because that's the only way we can make sure that it's used responsible.
Yeah.
Also, I love the fact that you actually, I mean, I've been working with sort of automation for some time, long before AI was the solution to everything. And I mean, you are one of your company is one of the few that actually sort of presents a solution to the fact that, I mean, all kinds of sort of industry revolutions or technology revolutions actually means that people have to sort of re-educate themselves.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. But I mean, you actually present a solution to how to overcome the status quo. And I really love that about the thing that you do. And I know you brought up Facebook here, and I know you worked some with Facebook, or they were quite impressed by you and the things you do. You want to tell us a little bit about that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In some ways, it's like it's always about the money, and we spend a lot of money on Facebook. But I also want to say that there was some curiosity involved in their part. Our account manager at Facebook read our numbers from our campaigns and saw that the results were through the roof compared with others. And because of our target groups and the real recruitment data and everything. But the most interesting part beside the results was the actual proof that we took really good care of our clients' money and felt responsible for their results. And our Facebook scores actually shows this. Our clients' trust and how we spend their money means the world to us. So it really helps that Facebooks themselves say that they're impressed by how we manage this part. So in the end, it was about money, but more like money management and relevance scores in the platform.
So I mean, it seems a lot of your success is based on the fact that you really have a good quality data set. I mean, basically a sort of a simpler algorithm on a quality data set would beat a advanced algorithm on a crappy data set.
Yes, that's totally.
And so I was thinking, I mean, you mentioned a bit on how you started this journey, really doing the heavy lifting and the footwork. Sort of, how do you manage to keep that up? Sort of the journey from data collection to whatever is in production.
It's hard to say. We always been leaning hard against innovation, so we have tried a lot of things over the years, most of them not working, and I think it was a combination of all things like happening at the same time. I have actually one good example. It's maybe 4 or 5 years ago. There was a small company, but very successful consulting company that needed a very specific type of candidate. It was really hard to know beforehand who it was, because they were open to so many different backgrounds, like education-wise, experience, skill set, everything. But they said when they met the right person, they just knew. And this is a total nightmare for a recruitment company with absolutely nothing to lean on, just the feeling of what's right. So we could not go to CVs, we could not go to LinkedIn profiles, search and so on. We needed to come up with something new, a strategy that involves some kind of brand emotion, online movements, like tracing data backwards, find patterns, footprints. The answer, it was not like what background and personality is going to fit this company. It was more like, can we in some way track or measure what combines people that are more likely to fit this company in the future? And we knew instantly that applied AI was the only way to do that. So we started with interviewing some people working there, and not the managers, the people that will give you like the real social proof, the colleagues. And then we built target groups from other assignments from the same kind of client that we have been working with in the past. And then we built a model for how to test the audience of at least 100,000 people in Stockholm, and built rules how to process their data. We pushed then these insights into the social media platforms and let their engines go to work. And for every interaction measured that was in line with the client needs, and we monitored it closely in our system, we programmed the system to find more. And with every interaction, the system got smarter. And even if the candidates were totally different in background, in skills and experience, they all matched the company better than any other list of candidates before. And we know this because the company had their own like cultural fit test. And before applied AI, 1 or maybe 2 out of 10 people passed the test in the final stage. But after applied AI, 7 to 8 of the 10 passed the test. So we got the proof of concept for a method. We were the only ones working like this at the time. I think that's true even today, 4 years later. We realized then that there was something in this data-driven ads based on real, actual recruitment data. And when we, after that, started to fill impossible positions with this strategy, we got the momentum to work even harder.
All right. I mean, that is awesome. Just, doing a proof of innovating, trying different stuff, doing a proof of concept to prove that sort of applied AI can actually improve performance by more than 50%. I mean, it's a great example, really.
Yeah, and it sounds like, I mean, it's been a long sort of iterative journey that you've had to go on to get to where you are, and it's really, really interesting to hear how you've gone about that. Was there ever like a moment when you were like, we're actually onto something, or did that come in several little chunks, or when did you realize you were onto something really, really unique?
I think that actually was the moment, because we were in a kind of deep water, and then we took this case on, and then tried to figure it out from A to B, and then see what's going to happen, and we found our success there.
Yeah, so it was this case, it was this sort of being able to do culture fit for a company that was really picky then you were like, okay, we've got something.
With the help of applied AI.
Yeah.
So I mean, you sort of proved to us and to the world, and probably to the profit and the revenue as well, that what you're doing is unique, and that you really can sort of utilize applied AI. What do you see sort of in the future? Where's the direction heading?
We have this is a big question, but we have the largest skill gap in history, and it's digitalization everywhere globally. And in a world where everything is in reach, top talent and attracting competence is the real value, and it's now on like everyone's agenda, from startups to multi-billion-dollar companies. And if it's not, then you will not be around for that long. So even if my industry was a kind of late on jumping on this digitalization train. This is what's going to set the agenda for the coming year. So I'm very, very excited. More and more companies are going to make this progress or die, I think, because they're not able to change and see what's next for them. Just like the stores and the brands that were too late on the e-commerce track. And this idea, it's a global idea. The real impact for WeSelect is outside Sweden, and for that we need a global reach. So we are talking to a couple of international partners about this right now. To get real impact, you need to roll this out in markets with hundreds of million people and not just the 10 million people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a massive undertaking.
That's when you save people the millions of years that we spoke about before.
Yeah, exactly. Then you get the real impact.
Yeah, yeah. So there, we've touched on this a little bit. Like there are so many companies trying to do what you're doing in some way, maybe not, or very often not quite as comprehensively, which I think is sometimes part of the problem. But it's always helpful to know, like, what difficulties have you had to overcome to get to where you are right now? Are there any particular challenges that you thought would be insurmountable when you first saw them, and that you thought, this is the end? And how did you get around them?
Yeah. Like I said before, I'm a true believer of making AI and technology something understandable and not something just abstract and complicated for only like the tech savvy people. WeSelect, it's sounds a little bit much, but we want to make work life better for 1 billion people and 100 million companies. We cannot accomplish this ourselves, but we can share the formula for everyone to copy, and then we can get the impact on society. So the challenge for us was to talk about a goal that was much easier to imagine. Even if it's big, it's much easier to imagine than the technology in itself. And it's hard to make that change. There are endless of numbers of companies, as you said, that are trying to transform themselves. And as I said, it's really, really hard, but you need to start. Another challenge for us was actually to lead the way. When you're doing something that no one else has done before, it's actually not easy to sell it. It's a fine line between like riding on the top of the wave and being crushed because you're too early into the market. And that almost became insurmountable for us, but we pulled through eventually. But some days I feel actually lucky just to be here.
All right.
Yeah, and that's super interesting as well, what you were saying first about how important it is to merge it with your overall company purpose and sort of objective. This is, yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people appreciating that you had sort of the grit to push through and really make this happen. And I mean, and there are also a lot of other companies, that has all this work ahead of them. What advice would you give to all these aspiring starting companies that want to get into this data-driven business?
Yeah, I will quote Simon Sinek. Start with why. It's so simple, but it's really important. The why around why you should implement AI into your organization in the first place, and the answer should never be, but we have to. What's the real problem? What's the challenge you want to solve with AI? It's just a tool. After that, it's much easier to continue and be persistent because you have something to hold on, because technology change can be very, very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of also latching onto that point, policymakers, startup accelerators, people everywhere trying to figure out how to further innovation, especially right now, innovation around AI. So if you were to guide them in some way, what kind of what kind of support do you wish you would have had when you started on your journey, or along as you went along?
The response I often get in my head is, I need more information about whatever problem there is. But then I realize that what you need is something more. You need simplicity and a better connection with everyday problems. AI, in my opinion, should not live like its own life. It should always focus on the positive impact in people's lives. And machine learning and AI for the average person, it's like something intangible. It's like the Matrix, or for my generation, Terminator. So my advice is to just talk to people that in some way run a technology-driven business or organization. For policymakers, I think it's important to push these kinds of initiatives, workshops, seminars, and not just invite scientists in the field. Invite the communicators, the educators with real experience of implementing AI in their companies, and start to focus on the positive impact. It could be small internally or big externally. Let them share their real stories from their lives, and that's how you make AI the coffee machine. It's a must-have, and know why you need it in the first place. The key is about the people and not the science. So, today, when you feel comfortable, like me today, actually talking about AI with the coolest AI accelerator in Sweden, you guys, without having built a supercomputer, not being techie at all, or even having deep knowledge about AI, then you will get the ball rolling faster, and in the end you will get acceptance on a much broader level. So I will say, make it simple. You don't need to build it yourself, and don't use it like a standalone product. And speaking of support, I come back to this all the time. Hire the right people, because if you get the top talent, and then most of the things we talked about today will get done. And for instance, I would never be here or even in this interview if it weren't for all the talented people that I have had by my side that we select through the years.
All right. I mean, it's I couldn't agree more. And you know, when you speak of it like this, and I mean, I almost feel excited about actually changing jobs sometime. I mean, I want to be in your algorithms.
Careful, Björn.
See what's recommended for me out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been great talking to you, Rickard. Time flies. Not sure if there's anything else we'd like to bring up. I mean, it's been like 1,000 million pieces of facts you shared with us, and I think I could come up with a follow-up question probably every 10 seconds, but let's try to keep this in a bit more comprehensive format. So any other topics or things that you know from Eureka that you thought we should ask you?
No, I'm just happy to be here. I know it's a lot of information, but I tried to almost take 10 years of thinking and failing and building stuff and put it out in like these 30-40 minutes, and it was really funny. It was great. Thanks.
Perfect. I mean, just and credits to you for doing that. The heavy lifting and the groundwork and innovating and trying out and having the grit, and now trying to basically save the world. I mean.
Yeah.
I have one last question. Sorry, this was such a neat ending. I had to ruin it. It was so there. But you were saying before, you started one thing that I couldn't quite understand, or that seemed very, very fortuitous, or maybe just forward thinking of you, was that you so early on started collecting all this data. What was it that made you do that? Because that seems like that would have been quite out there. That wouldn't have been obvious for people to do, and to save it, to organize it, to have that there. I think that's a really unique part of your journey. So what kind of inspired you to take that step?
I would say people in my network actually not coming from my industry, the recruitment industry, because in our industry we don't collect the data that in that way. It's like CVs and applications, but we don't collect or trace data. But in other areas you do that. So I have I have a small but a great network, and many people there who worked with data daily. They said, like, you need to start doing this. This will give you an advantage for the future. So I cannot actually give myself a pat on the back on that one, because it was a collaboration with other brilliant minds. Not saying that mine is brilliant, but other brilliant minds.
I mean, you should. I mean, you should give yourself a pat on the back, because I mean, you're bringing up one of the sort of the most important stuff about sort of actually getting somewhere within AI, and that is mixing domain expertise with data and technology expertise.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's a perfect wrap up, actually.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much. This is.
Thank you.
So thank you a million for today, Rickard, and hopefully we'll get the chance to talk to you again.
Yeah, I hope so too. Talk soon. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Okay.